However, some of these minigames are extremely brutal to complete, with some wins being pinned in the official server just for how difficult it is. As of today, no one has completed a hardcore checklist, leaving this batch unverified.
Yeah, about that. Assuming you have watched the first part of this video, welcome back! This video will show how I verified Cornerstone Arcade's hardcore checklist, which had been unverified for 6 months since its release. For those who are unaware of what Hardcore Completionist is, it's a badge in Cornerstone Arcade that requires you to complete the entire hardcore jackpot checklist. To even access hardcore in the first place, you need around 250 unique jackpots from the main checklist or level 150. The machines in hardcore consist of buffed versions of already existing machines in the main arcade. Whether it's more punishing or just straight up ridiculous, it is meant to be difficult to say the least. This video will go over every machine in the hardcore lounge, where I will be ranking how difficult I think each machine is on a tier list. These are of course opinionated, as always. I will also go over every machine in order of which ones I beat first. I guess I have nothing else to say, so let's just get to the point. Derived from Pianomania, this machine features 6 keys instead of 4 keys, and well, you can see the obvious difficulty spike already. This is the first machine that I've beaten, and it was actually way before I got Arcade Master. Difficulty wise, I didn't really find it too bad. Yes, it's 6 keys, but like, you only have to hit streams, so I will put this in the mild tier. Microsquared Hardcore is the third and last version of Microsquared. The first version required you to gain enough points to jackpot with 16 different microgames. The second version, Microsquared Extreme, required you to reach the jackpot threshold with 25 different microgames. Now this one, you have to survive 999 microgames. Some other stuff in this version is that you will start at 3 times speed, and for every streak of 10 that you don't fail a microgame, then one of the microgames you lost gets restored. The more rounds you survive, the faster the game progresses. Despite all this, I don't think this machine is really all that hard because of a couple of microgames that only require you to press a single button, which, yes, you can survive entirely from those minigames alone. There's also the mash microgame, which like, all you do is mash your keys, so you could theoretically mash your keys for the entire half an hour that this game lasts and you jackpot the machine. Because of all that, I'm putting this one in the mild tier, above Piano Insanity. This is a buff version of Line, where you must form a line 3 times in a row to jackpot. This one is extremely hard for me to rate the difficulty on, mainly because I kinda beat this machine first try out of nowhere. Replaying the machine, however, this is definitely one of the more difficult ones to me, so I'll put this at around the hard tier. Hardcore Simon Says is a buff version of Extreme Simon Says. In Extreme Simon Says, you are given 4 buttons to press, each with a different color. Whatever you are prompted with, you have to follow the order of the prompt if Simon said that prompt. For every point you get, the game gets increasingly faster. Now, Hardcore Simon Says speeds this up to the point where you are only able to respond to the prompt, given in just a split second. The reaction time needed for this one is extremely harsh, and, well, this is where I have to introduce the concept of tanking. You see, some machines will lower their jackpot requirement the more plays it has in a server. These can go extremely low to the point where it's manageable to be able to jackpot the machine. So, in theory, if you have enough credits, then you can lower the jackpot requirement to something really easy. This is exactly what I did with Hardcore Simon Says. Thankfully, you don't need to lower it that much since the jackpot requirement goes down by 1 for every play, and the score you need to jackpot it is not super high. Since I'm accounting tanking as part of the difficulty, I will put this one at the freebies here. This is gonna be a long one, so bear with me. Before explaining Bingout Hardcore, I should probably mention the other Bingout variants, since for some reason this game is just a lot of it. Bingout is, well, bingo. You are given a set amount of spins and you are meant to gain enough points to jackpot. For every number you mark, you will gain points. For every line you will get bonus points. If you clear the full board, then you get a huge payout, which decreases for every spin you do. When you run out of spins, you are given an option to buy another spin with your points, which is limited at 4 purchases. Something else that may appear are emojis. If you get the spin emoji, then you are given a free spin. If you are given the money bags emoji, then you get bonus points. If you roll a star, then you can mark any space in a column that you rolled it on. If you rolled a special star, then you can mark any space on the board. And finally, if you get the demon emoji, then, well, you will lose one of your spins. This can be nullified if you have a star at the same time you roll the demon. Bingout Chaos completely throws everything I said out of the way and requires you to reject numbers that you roll instead of spinning for them. When you reject a number that's on the board, then you'll get hit with a penalty. If you roll the demon and reject it, then it will remove every number you have marked in the column that it was on. If you roll the timer and reject it, then it will give you a time penalty. By the time the timer ends, then the game will check how many lines you got and give it points according to that. If you gain enough points, then you'll jackpot it. Bingout Blitz Tournament is similar to Bingout Chaos, only that it works more like Bingout? This one is more so about how fast you can actually process and mark the numbers. The player with the most point wins. Bingo Blitz Gigamax hosts 3 different versions of Bingo: Classic, Bingout, and Speed. Classic is literally just normal Bingo, so I have nothing to say for this one. Bingout works similar to normal Bingout, however, some other things are different, which I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really know how it works. Speed rolls balls in a random order, which you have to mark the number you have on your grid when it appears on your screen. The player with the most amount of numbers marked wins. Bingout Silver is basically the same as Bingout, however, Bingout Gold introduces new stuff. There's now a pattern on the grid, and if you fill every number in the pattern, then you get bonus points. If you roll the clock emoji, then the game will go into rush mode. Your timer will tick way faster, and the number of spins that you are on rush mode is indicated by the red number with the clock. Now, after explaining all of this, what does Bingout Hardcore change? Well, you are constantly on rush mode, and it pretty much works the same like Bingout Gold. It's kinda hard to tell where to place this, since, well, it is luck-based at the end of the day. I think I'll put this one at the freebie tier below Hardcore Simon Says, solely because it doesn't buff the machine that much. I mean, it's 5 seconds, that's more than enough time to look at your numbers and the grid. What do I really have to say for this one? It's a 20 by 20 grid with 40 bombs and you have to solve it in under 50 seconds. Tanking again comes into play for this one, however, it doesn't really help considering that you only get like 0.1 seconds for every play. I'm going to put this one at the mild tier below Minesweeper Hardcore. Now, before finishing the segment, I would like to show y'all a funny clip. Minitelle is a game that is entirely luck-based. It's a pinball machine that requires you to reach the bonus spot 3 times in a row to jackpot. Whenever you land on a spot that isn't the bonus spot, then your progress will vanish. Now, this is a buff version of Minitelle. Not really. You see, the machine itself may look intimidating since it may look like you need to get 5 in a row. However, the checklist thankfully only requires you to get 3 in a row. This is pretty much the same as Minitelle, so this to me is the easiest machine in Hardcore. You remember what I said about Hardcore having machines that are more punishing? Well, this is exactly that. Excavation Hardcore is a buff version of Excavation, where you basically cannot fail at all. You're meant to extract the highlighted colors, and if you fail to do so, then you get a penalty for the timer. The problem here is the timer is extremely tight, therefore making only like one mistake basically a run under. If you extract every color in order of which ones are highlighted, then you'll hit the jackpot. Difficulty-wise, this is okay, I guess. It's mainly just a matter of finding the right cursor alignment so that you can know where to lower the extractor at when you hover over a color. I'll put this one at mild, below Piano Insanity. Oh, guest rescue. You may have already seen this one in part 1 where this machine accidentally gave me the arcade master for jackpotting it. Anyways, this is a buff version of Noob Rescue, where you have to focus on 12 columns instead of 6. You're meant to move the lava out of the falling guest's path by pressing space to alternate the lava's location. The guests start falling faster the further your progress is throughout the game. This again also falls under the victim of tanking, and because of that I'm going to put this one in the freebie tier, above Hardcore Simon Says. My Air Memories 2 is a buff version of My Air Memories, a community corner machine. Originally, you have to memorize 5 balls out of 16. This time you have to memorize 10 balls out of 32. Even though it's just double the amount, well, it's still extremely difficult. Okay, so here's how to completely cheese this machine. First, you want to open a program like Paint.net or any editing image software. In this example, I'm using Photoshop. Then you want to make a new project. You want to make sure the canvas size fits whatever your monitor's resolution is. What you're going to want to do is add an adjustment layer and then set the brightness and contrast. You lower the brightness to the absolute minimum and raise the contrast to the max. You then want to duplicate the adjustment layer and then set the second one's contrast to be 0. Next thing you want to do is start the machine. In this scenario, I will be using the recording I have when I completed it. Make sure your camera's position actually shows every ball so that you can actually see where the stuff is lit up. Anyways, when you start the machine, screenshot when you see the ball start glowing. Paste that screenshot onto your image editing software, make sure it's below the adjustment layers, and you will not be able to see the ball's positions as a still image. Just make sure you spot them from comparing the balls with other balls of the same color, typically the ones that are fully neon are the real ones. Anyways, with all that yap out of the way, I'm putting this machine at mild, above Minesweeper Hardcore. Even without this method, you can still get friends that have Hardcore unlocked to help you memorize some of the balls. I still think this is pretty difficult though. This is a buff version of Classic Stack. You are meant to stack bricks on top of each other and they get smaller the higher your stack is. The bricks movement also increases exponentially. There are 2 ways of winning this machine, one is the minor value and one is the major value, which is the actual one needed for the jackpot checklist. I think it's best if I just let the footage play out for this machine since I can't really describe it well with words. I'll put this machine at the mild tier, below Minesweeper Hardcore and above Minesweeper Hardcore. This one is just horrible. This machine is pretty much Wordle except it's ass. You have 9 colors and 3 guesses, after tanking mind you, to correctly guess the color sequence for the jackpot. If your color is highlighted with green, that means that you have the right color in the right position. If your color is highlighted with yellow, then that means the sequence has that color but in the wrong position. The colors are able to repeat also, which is just a disgusting amount of luck needed to actually jackpot this machine, which is why I'm putting this one at the hard tier, below Hardcore line. Windtime Hardcore is the buff version of Windtime. This is kinda where you start to notice a trend that a bunch of these machines have extremely tight timings as the main difficulty. Okay, so Windtime is a timer which you have to stop at exactly the target score that is shown on the display. The timer goes by 60 a second, so you can treat it like frames if you were playing on 60 FPS. In short, you have to hit a 60 FPS frame perfect to jackpot this machine. Sounds hard, right? Now, Windtime Hardcore is the exact same, however it will occasionally blind your timer with question marks. So this means that you have to hit a blind 60 FPS frame perfect in order to jackpot this machine, thanks to that. For that reason alone, I will put this machine at the difficult tier. Count the Stars Hardcore is a buff version of Count the Stars. In the normal version, you had to count stars, which appear for a very brief period. You gain points according to the amount of stars that you've counted. If your guess is 1 off, then you won't gain points, and if your guess is off by 2 or more, then you will lose a life. You get bonus points if you get 5 correct guesses in a row. Now, Count the Stars Hardcore removes the bonus points and is way more punishing. If your guess is off by 2 or more, then you lose all of your lives, and if your guess is off by 1, then you lose a life. This machine is where tanking comes into play the most. Unfortunately, this machine only takes down by 1 per play. So, how are we going to jackpot this machine? Well, let me introduce you to Half Off Tuesdays. Essentially, every Tuesday, every machine is discounted by 50%. Utilizing this, I was able to tank a lot of machines without having to grind that many tickets. Anyways, I'll put this at the mild tier, above Piano Insanity and below Minesweeper Hardcore because of how much you have to tank for it. Planet Smash Hardcore is the buff version of Planet Smash, and well, this is again where tanking comes into play. This machine in short is a lot of timings. If you hit a button when the light is blue, then you get 5 points. If the light is green, then you earn 1 point. If the light is yellow, then you immediately lose. At the end of every level is the bonus round. This is where you can earn 5 points for every blue light that you hit. For every level you complete, the machine gets harder. This is also the first machine in my experience where you can't even tank that much thanks to the score cap. Because of this, I'm placing this machine at the mild tier, above Cornerstone Hardcore and below Minesweeper Hardcore. Fill is an entirely new machine dedicated for hardcore. This one you have to press a button whenever a light flashes on the squares. You have to do this 9 times in a row and you can't miss the timing or you'll lose. The machine gets harder the closer you are to filling the grid. This machine is kinda bullshit, because like, just look at this! So, what do I do about that? Well, you can kinda just hope that you get lucky enough to be able to hit a 1 out of 2 chance for however many timings that you are unable to hit. So, for my example, I can only hit up to like 4 times consistently, which means I have to roll a 1 out of 32 chance to be able to beat this machine. It's still horrible since, well, RNG, but do you really want to be forced to time it? Like, come on now. I'm putting this at the mild tier, above my other memories too. Number Sorcerer is another one of those tankable minigames. You are meant to mash your keys to raise or lower your number to the target score and submit it, which then you are given a new target score to repeat the whole process. This machine pretty much forces you to tank because like, I am not doing 20 clicks per second. So anyways, I'm putting this machine in the freebie tier because of how little it costs to tank, below Guest Rescue and above Hardcore Simon Says. I'll have vodka. I'll have vodka. Oh, it's so nice to meet you again. The thousands upon thousands of credits I've spent on you. The amount of times you have screwed me over. I'll have vodka. You imbecile! Twisted f***! To my knowledge, at the time of me writing and voicing the script, there have been only 3 people in the game's entire history that have completed this machine: Video Game Player 7000, and Causti, and Cheesy Cakes. To say this machine is difficult would be doing it a disservice. This machine is the hardest machine in hardcore. The amount of luck needed for this machine is raw, concentrated, unfiltered insanity. Not to mention that you also have to use your brain so that you are actually able to tell which spots are which, and hope for divine intervention to lend you a board that isn't just impossible to solve. But I had to beat this. And so, I grinded. It was hopeless. It felt like I was fighting fate itself. But I had to keep pushing. After a while, I would reach my first jackpot level. And then the third attempt, where this happened. You know that one mobile game, 2048? Well, let's add an extra block that you need to obtain so that it's double the length. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really understand why I found this one super difficult. I guess I'm just ass at some things. This is gonna be my most biased placement yet, but I will put 4096 in the hard tier, above Secret Sequence Hardcore and below Hardcore line. Hatching Day is another entirely brand new machine specifically tailored to hardcore. In this game you are meant to rotate the egg on the screen whenever the game prompts you to do so, which is after a countdown. If you time the rotation correctly, the game will add in time to your clock. If you rotate the egg too early, then you lose. If you wait too long, then you also lose. For every 24 hours you progress, or a day, the machine will give you the option to continue or claim your reward. To jackpot the machine, you need to reach day 21, which could take around 15 minutes. I think this machine is definitely one of the easiest ones to beat mechanical wise. Really the only problem about this is if you get a lag spike, which can really screw up your run. But then again, that's kinda just most machines in the game. I'm putting this machine in the freebie tier, below Guest Rescue and above Number Sorcerer. Chopping Block Hardcore is a buff variant of Chopping Block. You're meant to cut up a block in half, and you gain points depending on how well you do. If the judgment scores your cut as perfect, then it will reward you with 200 points. Typically you want to aim for perfect since it gives a whole lot of points. What Chopping Block Hardcore changes is having a harsher judgment system, and a static jackpot amount, which is 2500. Something else interesting that I want to point out is, the knife seems to be more left weighted, meaning that you typically want to aim more towards the left instead of the middle since, for whatever reason when you do this, then the game will not count it as perfect. I don't know, it's weird, but overall this is one of the more difficult machines in hardcore. I'm putting this one above Windsime Hardcore in the difficult tier because of the unforgiving jackpot criteria. Before we get to the final 5, I would just like to give a quick little mention to the 2 other machines not listed in the checklist. Clockspin Hardcore is the 3rd variant of Clockspin. It's pretty interesting to see the progression and utter dive into insanity as you progress further through the game within the lens of the Clockspin. The first Clockspin is your standard machine, the second one you get for unlocking the Elite Lounge, which, ooh, different face, you know, it's like you're one of the big ones now. Lastly, the 3rd one just completely bulldozes you. I feel like this was pretty interesting to point out. The second non-checklist machine in hardcore is CS Swag Hardcore, which has a 1% payout rate assuming that you are playing perfectly. CS Swag is extremely infamous in the Cornerstone community for being just a big pile of dog shit, which resulted in its removal in the game's V6 update. This would later be re-added as CS Swag Hardcore for the Hardcore update. Anyways, that's all I have to say for the 200 machines. The final 5 machines that I have left here all fall under the same gimmick. Extremely hard timings. Hardcore Drop is a buff version of Classic Drop. This one is probably the hardest hardcore variant out of the 3 machines in that one pillar, and well, you can kinda see for yourself why that is. Because of the extremely hard timing you have to hit, not to mention everything before that, I will put this machine at the difficult tier, below Windsime Hardcore. Honorary Path is a machine that can be found in another round. You have to hit a number on the board as it rotates around quickly, and whatever number you land on, you will move that amount of spaces. If you land on a red space, then you will lose the game. By the end of the board, you are meant to hit 6, so that you can reach the maximum jackpot amount. Okay, that's good and all, but what about hardcore? So, you notice red spaces? Yeah, well, try those on the number board. I can't explain to you how horribly tight it is to hit these timings, considering most of the machines are server-sided. The least amount of moves you can do to jackpot is 7, however, you have to be extremely precise and basically hit 7 2-frame window timings in a row to jackpot this machine. I don't need to state further how ridiculous this machine is. I'm placing this one at difficult, above chopping block hardcore. Sunset Drive Hardcore is a buff version of Sunset Drive. In this machine, you are meant to roll a coin, and whatever glowing lane it touches, it's the amount of tickets that you will earn. When you touch the last one before the gutter, you earn a big payout and a letter is added to the machine. To jackpot the machine, you need to spell out Vaporwave. When your coin doesn't touch any of the lanes, it will go into the gutter, which will reset all of the progress you have made on the letters. I'm gonna put this one on the hard tier, below 4096 and above Secret Sequence Hardcore. This one isn't as bad as the last two, which... holy fuck. Boomerang Shot Hardcore is the second to last machine that I completed. This is a buff version of Boomerang Shot, where you have to hit 4 timings in a row to jackpot the machine. The buff in Hardcore comes from how much tighter the timing is. The first one is decently manageable, the second one is a little bit more difficult since the power meter is sped up, but still, generally within the realm of possibility. Now the third timing... yes, you are seeing this right. You're meant to hit such a small window of time with the speed of the power meter being like this. Okay, what about the fourth? Oh, it's even worse. Considering that the game is server-sided, the delay in your input would make this a whole lot harder even if you have godlike precision. So, what do? Well, considering that the last two is basically impossible to hit by normal means, we have to instead roll for the right space. Ideally, we want the space that we land on to be at the very start. Since there are 39 possible spaces in this machine, this would mean that it's a 1 out of 39 chance of it landing on that spot. With all that said, here's a compilation of all of my attempts at the 4th timing. Here we are, the final machine, Speed Curve Hardcore. The way Speed Curve works is that you have a power meter. The more power the meter has, the further the car will travel. Whatever color tile the car lands on, then said tile will award you a certain amount of tickets, which is displayed on the machine. When you hit the purple tile, then you are given another turn to play and the amount of tickets that you earn is tripled. When you land on the red tile, then you'll be given a huge payout and it'll light up a wheel. The goal here is to light up 5 wheels to jackpot. The problem here is that when you land on the white tile, then you'll be given a strike. You can reset the strike by landing on a colored tile. If you get 3 strikes in a row, then you lose a tire. But wait! That's normal speed curve. What does hardcore change? If you land on a white tile, then you immediately lose a tire. Yeah, so to jackpot this machine, you pretty much have to land on the red tile 5 times without hitting a white tile. Because you have to pay for every time you want to play, even with the wheels lit up, this is by far the most expensive machine in the hardcore checklist to jackpot. To even land on a red tile by itself would be really hard to do, and the fact that you have to not land on a white tile and lose all of your tires is just evil. But I persevered to all that. The main method that I use for this machine is just hoping that the red tile is low enough on the power meter so that I'm actually able to time the landing. If I don't get this, then I hit a color tile to reset the position. You can just imagine how many credits I poured into this. Anyways, with everything out of the way, It's It's fucking done! It's fucking done! It is fucking done! Oh my god, it's done! It's fucking done! Oh, it's over! Oh, it's fucking over! Oh my god!